before we get started, I'd just like to ask a question to the audience. So please can you stand if you are currently a global mentor for SIGAWomen. So we have a couple of mentors here today. Next question. Please say something. Okay. Next question. Please stand if you would like to become a SIGAWomen global mentor. Absolutely remarkable. So pretty much 80% of the room wants to become SIGAWomen global mentor and make a real difference in the sporting world. Now, as a new mentor on the program, what was my why? Why don't you of SIGAWomen? Firstly, I believe in the program, and I think together, women supporting women, we can make a true difference. But not only that, also just quickly reflecting on when I was younger. I always knew that I wanted to be involved in sport. To what capacity? I didn't really know. And one of the main reasons for that was because there was no real mentorship programs around when I was growing up. So for me, I knew I wanted to be involved in sport. So the options I thought of were potential coach, physiotherapist, maybe going to the army, or even a PE teacher. I did eventually go down the PE teaching route, but there is so much more available in the sporting world. And I think together we can really come and combine ideas, and being a mentor, we can provide that pathway to the future generation, really making them aware of what's available out there. So first of all, to start the session, I'm going to hand over to Marta Pinero, which is a legal advisor and sports consultant and a 2024 SIGA Leadership in Sport mentee.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Can everyone hear me? No.
Microphone.
Okay. Now, can everyone hear me? Okay. Thank you so much, Amy. I'd like to also thank Katie, Emmanuel, and SIGA for the invitation to be here. So I had a couple of sports experiences before I even found SIGA, and I was very lucky that I got to start my career really on and focus solely on sports, even throughout my qualification as a lawyer. So, but in all of that and throughout the various mentorship experiences that I had, which some were more formal and I kind of integrated into everyday life, and others were more like social, just running into someone on the hall, okay, how are you? Can I get your advice? Can I pick your brain about this? And I felt that I had people to go to, but I didn't have community. I felt like I was still a little bit excluded. I didn't know who the big players are. I didn't know what the trends are. I didn't know where to look for all of this. And so when I found SIGA, I was like, oh, maybe this is the answer. And in fact, it was, because it gives you so much exposure. You just get a good session and get to interact with all these women who are like-minded, who have the same motivation, the same drive, and that want to build sports and that want to build up women in sports. And when I think about mentorship, I don't necessarily, I also think about breaking barriers and glass ceilings, but it's also more about building legacy and kind of, I guess, paving the way forward by passing along those lessons. So it's crucial for young women in sports, young women everywhere, to have representation, as you were saying, to have people to look up to learn from their mistakes, and to also understand what the mistakes are that's okay to make, what the mistakes are that no one's made yet, what skills are important to develop as young women in the business and in the industry. And so in that, I think, and most importantly, the mentorship program gave me an individual mentor who I talk to very often, and who's been a big support my life from the whole program. And then after the program's ended, of course, Taylor Green at Common Goal, she was also, I think, at the SIGA Youth Council. So she was a great example for me as well on how to get involved. She gives me a lot of energy just to say yes to invitations like this, to be here, to participate. And so all of that, I think, is very important, just growing the industry.
Thank you so much, Marta. And just to mention as well that Marta was actually a last-minute addition to the panel, but a very, very important one. We just felt that it was really crucial to hear a voice from somebody who has been through the program as a mentee, and just to reflect on her experience being part of SIGAWomen. So moving on, Victoria. The SIGAWomen program has grown significantly since 2018. As an advisory board member and SIGAWomen council member, can you just share some of the key achievements that perhaps have stood out to you?
Yes, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Katie, to be so many years together. And being now part of the SIGAWomen Council. And as last week, I accepted to be a mentor as well. So I'm so excited to be part of this movement. Katie has this ambitious and very realistic goal to get 300 mentors and mentees this year, and I believe she almost has the numbers out of more than 50 countries, and everything is going very well. I'm very happy to be part of this. So the idea is to have 8 different group sessions, and then to have 6 individual sessions between the mentor and the mentees. For those of you who wants to become a mentor, you will have introduction sessions, so you can get to know how to go in the process. So this is what I also have to go now. And I'm very happy, and we're happy to meet some of you during the program.
In the market.
And just on a more personal note, Victoria, so we had a brief conversation before today's session, and you mentioned that the Bulgarian National Olympic Committee had a female president, and recently they've just gone through a new election process and appointed another female. So can you just tell us a little bit more about this, and what have they done that perhaps other companies haven't?
I would like to give Bulgaria as a good example for this because SIGA did research from the 32 different international sport organizations who are member of the International Olympic Committee, and actually the results are not very well. Only less than 28% are female leaders, presidents, but Bulgaria has this good example. For the last 20 years, we have a female president of the Olympic Committee, and now we had elections, and another female leader who was before that a minister of sport was elected as a president of the Bulgarian National Olympic Committee. So I'm very proud and happy that in my country, we have this good example in sport. It's not in all the sectors, but at least sport is equal for all. Even me, I was international sport director, and I had all freedom to take my decision, was coordinating with everybody around, but my opinion matters. So I'm very proud to be Bulgarian, and now based in Dubai.
Thank you so much. It's really important to use these success stories and use the positivity that the company, such as the Bulgarian National Committee, is doing. It's very important that we do highlight success. So Sylvie, since joining MasterCard in 2010, you have gained much experience through distinct roles across various regions. One of those hats being lead for MasterCard Women Leadership Network here in Dubai. We know MasterCard is an official sponsor here today, but can you just explain the connection between the two, SIGAWomen and MasterCard?
Yes, absolutely. Can you hear me? Yes. Clearly, MasterCard is a proud founding member of SIGA since 2017, and we have employees. Mona is one of them, who is a mentor, and many aspiring mentors as well. So for MasterCard, there is a connection between what we do as a payment technology company and our culture and paying it forward. As we often say, paying it forward is priceless. So as MasterCard, we're a payment technology company. We're connecting hundreds of thousands of merchants and card holders so that when you travel and you have your card and you swipe your card, the transaction works. That is amazing. But that is only possible, we can only provide that if we have a thriving culture as a company. And for that, as MasterCard, we have different programs so that we truly evoke our culture, which is called the MasterCard Way. One of them is indeed the MasterCard Women's Leadership Network, WLN. And the WLN is actually the group, together with Mona, with myself, and the company that I've been hosting. We are proud host of today's event. So with the Women's Leadership Network is active across the globe at MasterCard, and really wants to make sure that we continue to drive equal opportunities for MasterCard across all levels. And we do that through different activities. For example, we have panel conversations where we invite internal and external speakers. And one of our signature styles there is that we will always invite a young talent at MasterCard as the moderator, which is a bit of a daunting experience, but oh wow, how all of our young talents who have ever moderated such a panel have gained a tremendous experience, and we're so proud, of this cohort that we are doing. So that's why for us as a company, mentorship is incredibly important. There's a lot of parallels between mentorship in the sports world and in the corporate world, and we're so proud to be part of SIGA and being able, we as MasterCard as a company, to be able to provide our technology for culture that we can pay that forward, paying it forward priceless.
Amazing. And just linking into that, Sylvie, what are the parallels between mentorship in the corporate world and the world of sports? Of course, MasterCard is very much a corporate industry, supporting and sponsoring the sporting world, but what are the key parallels?
I think there are many parallels, and that's why MasterCard, as a company, we want to make sure that we speak to the passion of our consumers, and that's why we are a major sponsor of sport events and, above all, women's sport events. Because we see a lot of parallels, and in corporate, a career is not a sprint; it is a marathon. And in order to have a successful career, it's important to benefit from different ventures across the company, but also outside of the company. We often see, like you have a board of directors, you should have like a panel of mentors for people who can show you the way, and people who have tried and tested and also failed and can help in providing the way and help setting those goals and celebrate those victories and help drive people in careers. And we're also very proud that today LinkedIn has recognized us as one of the top 15 companies in UAE to grow your career amongst 15 other established renowned companies here in the UAE. So that is also a testament of our thriving culture and of the many mentoring programs that we have at MasterCard, and that we are more than happy to bring down within the sports world as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Ladies, you are also very much involved within the corporate world as well. Do you identify any other parallels, or do you all go to you guys?
I think my starting point, first of all, KT Magal, thanks for having us here. For the sponsors, always a big shout out for that. But one of my parallels, the business side, is always to say, actually, women's sport is good business. So we need to start from that point of view. And for that, in the mentorship, the approach I usually take is to say, how do you actually, any one of us sitting here, how do you actually mentor an already existing role model? That in itself starts the challenge. So you're already simply starting your own right, whichever way you put forward. From a corporate point of view, issues such as that resilience, that tenacity, but more important, the same passion that got you to the point where you become a role model to many is the same point that needs to pull you and catapult you into also an entrepreneurial point of view. There's no reason why every single one of the athletes sitting here cannot be a brand in their own right that's monetized, commercialized. I'm coming from a different stance. Actually, SIGAWomen. A SIGAWomen is one who will excel both in the sport that they partake in, but will also end up in an entrepreneurial journey. And that's a conversation that I think they're correlates with. So it's good to have a MasterCard sponsoring and guiding us. But actually, in MasterCard, we've got also the role modeling of the fact that the financial well-being and that financial readiness of each athlete is important. So those are elements that need to be pulled into that mentorship. We had Adidas earlier. There's no reason why any of the athletes that we mentor should not be negotiating proper deals around designing products and that they put forward in their own brand. We've got a fantastic young athlete that will speak to us later here. And there's no reason why, as early as now, there should not be a trust that links the growth in her athletic development to her financial well-being.
Absolutely. And just linking into that, Audrey, we often see athletes during and after their sporting career struggle with life and sport. Now, this is where mentorship is absolutely critical. So how do we equip female athletes with the tools and advice for life after sport?
The real issue, it has to start not a parallel universe that kicks in later. It has to start as early as possible. Anyone sitting here that is developing athletes needs to write a parallel process that figures out how you empower them going forward. And it's to also inculcate a culture and awareness that we put forward that any athlete in their own right is just as good or as the best lawyer or the best engineer out there. So how do you reframe even in the nurturing and the acknowledgement of our athletes as they come forward? So my take on that from a mentorship point of view is that it starts as early as the first medal that young girl wins, whether it's at a regional level, a school level, a provincial level. And then empowering them with those skills to also design a parallel universe for themselves going forward. The second thing we need to do, and it's a challenge call to action event to our sponsors, MasterCard or Adidas, is to say, how do you actually partner with SIGAWomen and our existing athletes to say, as a role model in their own right, all the gold medalists that we have out there. And I saw you have a fantastic ad that shows a tap payment. We all live with you in our lives, our pockets. But how do you also in parallel run a product or a project that allows you to identify, incubate an entrepreneurial approach to some of those athletes while they're emerging? Men do this very well. We see very successful athletes with successful brands. We see the women emerging. I mean, Serena Williams pivoting into the world of technology and the digital space. Yes, she's a superstar in her own right, but it doesn't have to start and stop there. It can be any one of us. And one of my big passions and wishes for the journey with SIGA, Katie and Emmanuel, is that we actually do that and drive that parallel universe of driving both the career, both reframing the mindset around any girl choosing to be an athlete is just as great as any girl choosing to be an engineer today.
Yeah, wonderful words, Audrey. And just thinking, it's what Audrey was saying there, Jessica. So she mentioned and highlighted how important role models are. You are a true role model in the UAE, North Australia, and across the world. So as a mentor and a role model, this could be quite pausing for new members coming on board. So what makes a good role model?
I think honesty and vulnerability in that journey, and I think as everyone on the panel has already discussed, being able to guide people through the failures and the races that we don't win. I think we highlight gold medal winners a lot, which is rightly so, but what most athletes would tell you, and anyone in business, is that we learn from the moments where we are facing failure. And I think it's because in those moments, we have to ask ourselves, well, what went wrong? What didn't go to plan? And I think as a mentor, being able to gently guide mentees through that process and to say, I've walked this path before you, and if I can instill any wisdom, it would be how to navigate those times. I was asked recently by the Satyans, the female police cyclist, what happens after the Olympics? And I said, that's going to be the most important question you will ever ask, because that's when everyone will sort of fade away. And that's when we need to be able to support female athletes and any female in sport the most, is when the spotlight isn't on them. And I wish that I had had mentors during that time. I think as a female athlete with a disability, there's so many more barriers for obvious reasons, even lack of sponsorship, the lack of scholarships, the lack of investment just in general. And so what I hope to be able to bring is that level of authenticity to the conversations that I can have with the up-and-coming athletes to say that, so rightfully said, there's so much that needs to be happening alongside sport. But that's also a very hard thing to do when you are
living in sport in the moment. If you're an elite athlete, it can be incredibly hard to focus your energy on anything else, anything to do with a career either side of that, because you're told that everything is about whatever sport you're playing at that moment. And so I think for the wider community in the sporting sector to understand that truly so that we can create that network of support, and obviously that's what SIGA and the mentorship program is all about.
Thank you so much. And just reflecting on your past experience as a Paralympian and former professional swimmer, what do you wish was out there from you when you were?
It's a very
From SIGAWomen, I think that from SIGA, but
it's a very tricky question, because I also acknowledge that I came through the sport or the world of sport and Paralympic sport at a very different time. None of our events were televised. In fact, it was so brutally displayed that our events were at the beginning of competition or at the end of competition, so that we were not televised. And that sends a very loud and profound message when you are a young athlete trying to understand your identity and your place in the world. And so I wish that I had had programs like this and mentors and people that I could see who looked like me. And I never had that. And I think if one of the things that I find is my responsibility in all of this is to be able to be visible for all the young female athletes living with disability who never had someone who looked like them in mainstream media, on social media, because it makes such a difference when you can see yourself being represented. And so I'm privileged and honoured to be able to have the opportunity to be on the council and to be a mentor, because I know that it will benefit so many young women with disability.
Thank you so much. And just moving on from that then, so just to the rest of the panel, an open question really. When you were in there, looking at more of a positive note and a positive perspective on this, what do you feel helped you in your career, and what would you like to see the mentorships within the SIGAWomen program? Can I say it?
So when I was young, I was an athlete. I was a snowboarder, but I had to choose between study and sport. And at that time, I didn't have a mentor to help me continue my career, but I continue as just having fun during the winter and give this to my kids. I have 3 kids, 1 son and 2 daughters. My son is a professional ice hockey player. He's in Canada now, and I think I managed to transfer, but I was lacking and I was missing this when I was young. So for my career, I managed to get this mentorship from close leaders around me who helped me and encouraged me all the time not to give up as a woman, because I was in an environment surrounded by men, to get my position. And I was elected for many international development organizations after the support of these leaders around me. And I'm very grateful. I hope to see the mentorship program will do exactly the same. Support young athletes, athletes transferring to any other business will find their position and support.
Thank you so much. Would anybody else like to use positive experience that they had when they were younger?
Actually,
Please.
stand.
I think coming up here, say, my emphasis really on financial well-being comes from much career having a teacher who said actually has a goal to be able to live in quantity, you had financial dependency. Remember the things that the economies really care, and the economies of children with yelling sharp. And for some reason, that idea of financial well-being and impact was stuck in my mind. And followed me through my career at financial services, then starting a digital company, pushing through the trainings. And so women that I mentor, by default, I try and pay that forward as well. At this time, differently, was you lived it. It's very different to aspiring to be feeling it, but you lived it. It means I make it quite everywhere I can to be the connector that closes the gap and creates the bridge for that woman that is needing help.
Why did it happen?
Thank you so much, Audrey. And I think it's really important to highlight the positive experience that we've all had, because everybody here today is here because they are passionate about sport.
whether it's females in sport, whether it's sports in general. And that will probably be down to because you had some sort of positive experience when you were younger. I think it's really important to reflect on those positive elements and try and bring them into the mentorship program as well. Thank you. Okay, so moving on then. So, Marta, if you could just provide one key example of why you felt it was so important to become a mentee on the SIGAWomen program. That is just one area where it has really helped you.
What goes to me list?
I think just personally, I'll always be a mentee. I think we can always be mentees and like result throughout our lives, so that can be a simultaneous experience and there's like from other people. And I guess I'm a curious person. I was curious, I wanted to know people, I wanted to know where they come from, I wanted to know what inspired them. So I can get inspiration. So I think the focus of that was really, now it's okay to dream big, but also being realistic as to the fact that women are very often underestimated and learning that that's okay. And nowadays I see it's a very positive thing because they control everything inspired them. So I just think that and I think that's one lesson that I wish we were taught more growing up is you are going to be underestimated if it's just a foreseeable future. It doesn't have to be long term. Hopefully it's not going to be long term. But use the difficulty in your favor. And yes, that the mentorship program that my mentor in particular has really helped these two things in a different light. Instead of getting stuck on the difficult parts or the difficult tracks, just use it in my favor and try to explore the options. So just essentially, I've had a different mentor in the past who's giving me a really good lesson. Unbeknownst to her, because I think she just said it casually and just stuck with me. She said, always have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. And it stuck with me because it really shows the importance of being adaptable and just making, if life gives you lemons, make that way. So yeah, I guess that's the key factor which helped me grow as a person, as well as a professional.
Thank you so much. Okay, Jessica, last question. So how can mentorship help address intersections of identity, ensuring that no one is left behind?
It's so valuable because I think, as everyone has already touched on, the importance of having somebody to help share their story, to know that you're not alone, to know that everything that you're experiencing or feeling is something that others have felt before. But creating a program such as what SIGA is doing is allowing a safe space and place for those discussions to happen and connecting people who otherwise wouldn't have been connected before. And as you said, you learn so much from people from different backgrounds, different abilities. And I really like what you said, we're always a mentor and always a mentee. We always have something to learn and we always have something to give and something to offer. And so, I hope in that intersectionality of trying to understand our identity, which let's be honest, we're all forever trying to do. It's not coming into this program thinking that I know more and I know better. It's just how can I articulate what I have learned in a way that resonates with the people who I am mentoring, regardless of their age, regardless of their sport. And I think that something that has always stuck with me, a quote that I learned along the way is, you'll never be criticized by somebody doing more than you. And it always stuck with me for two reasons. It was like, okay, I don't have to worry about what anybody else is sort of saying about me, about my success or about my family. But it also was a stark reminder that anytime I start to criticize somebody else, what does that mean for me? What's going on inside of me? And so my role as a mentor is to help guide and to help facilitate conversations that I wish I had been able to have when I was coming into this sporting world and this sporting career and sector, and I had to navigate a lot of things completely on my own, as we all have had to. And yes, of course, that builds resilience, but I think sometimes resilience is a word we use without thinking about the implications that they can have if they're not supported in that journey. And so I hope, and I'm sure every mentor and every partner that sits on the council is looking to do the same thing. And as you said, find the positive, visualize what we can be, what we know we will be, but do that with the support of others who are creating that network and that safety net, which we wished we had, be the role model that we never had.
Hey, that's really valuable, Jessica, to end on that. And I think it's really important as well
that we use our real life experience to help mentees within the program. Can't go away just yet. Just one final question for everyone. So, in one word, can you just describe why SIGA matters in one word? If I can start, it might be a bit cliche because I will ask about mentorship representation. I've had a very recent example. I'm not sure if I can just take 1 minute to go it. I was invited to go to my alma mater, my university, and talk about the students about international careers. And when I was in college, we didn't really have that kind of session. We didn't have the interaction with alumni that I guess they do nowadays. And I found it really interesting that most of the questions that were directed at me were from women about sports law specifically, which at the time when I was in college, mind you, that wasn't that long ago. It wasn't a thing. There wasn't a curiosity. There wasn't an interest. I wasn't interested myself, or I didn't see it as a possibility. So I think it's really interesting that it just from representation, it fosters interest, which then helps build the industry.
It's intentional. Not here to be inspirational, and to be intentional.
Impact.
I would say universal. Because it's not on any place in the world, but everywhere. It's for everyone, and it's for the future generation.
It's good. Opportunity to make sure that opportunity continues, and we help guides to not only developing opportunity that exists, but also show what is continuing to be out there and share those experiences. Well, there's some really important keywords to take away from that session, guys. Now, I am just going to ask you questions to the audience, same as we asked before. So please can you stand up after learning a little bit more about the mentorship program? Who would now like to become a SIGAWomen mentor? Stand up. Let's get moving, guys. Looks like a few more people standing up. Brilliant. We've got the future generation standing up as well. Amazing. Thank you so much, ladies. Truly inspirational.